Imagine being stuck on a ship for 7 weeks that ends up causing a catastrophic bridge collapse. It seems like a scenario straight out of a movie script, but for the crew of the container ship Dali, it was a harsh reality they had to face. This Singapore-flagged ship, which was chartered by Maersk and carrying their cargo, collided with Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge, causing a terrifying collapse into the Patapsco River. The incident, declared a mass casualty event, came with its share of injuries and fatalities, the exact numbers of which remain uncertain. What we do know, however, is that the ship lost propulsion before hitting the bridge. But what caused the loss of power? That's a question investigators are still trying to answer. Interestingly, this isn't the first time the Dali has been involved in a collision. Back in 2016, the ship crashed in Antwerp, Belgium. That incident was attributed to a mistake by the master and pilot on board. After the collision in Antwerp, the ship changed ownership and subsequently found itself chartered by Maersk. It's essential to understand the gravity of this incident. Not only was there a significant loss of life and infrastructure, but the economic implications are staggering. The port closure in Baltimore is expected to cause daily economic losses of $15 million, impacting the import and export of various goods. This catastrophic event has left us with several questions, the most pressing of which is, why was the crew on the ship for 7 long weeks? To understand the reason behind the crew's extended stay on the ship, we must first delve into the ship's journey and its history. Our vessel of interest, the Dali, is a Singapore-flagged container ship with an intriguing past that extends back to at least 2016. That year, it was involved in a collision in Antwerp, Belgium, a mishap that was attributed to a mistake by the master and pilot on board. Following this incident, the ship underwent a change of ownership, but its past seemed to cast a long shadow. Fast forward to 2024, the Dali was chartered by Maersk, the renowned shipping conglomerate based in Denmark. It was carrying Maersk cargo, but interestingly, no Maersk staff were present on board at the time. The Dali's journey was far from smooth sailing. It was involved in another significant accident, this time causing a catastrophic collapse of Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge. The ship lost propulsion before hitting the bridge, a chilling echo of its past collision. This incident was declared a mass casualty event, throwing both the ship and its crew into the limelight. The Dali's story is a complex one, involving multiple stakeholders, from its original owners to Maersk, and finally, to the crew who manned the ship during its ill-fated voyage. It's a tale of a ship's journey through ownership changes, charters, and incidents that have left indelible marks on its record. The ship's journey and its past make this incident even more intriguing, raising more questions about the crew's extended stay. As we continue to unravel this maritime mystery, we must remember that every ship carries not just cargo, but also a story, a history, and in this case, a series of questions that demand answers. Now let's dig deeper into the mystery of the crew's 7-week stay on the ship. You see, in the maritime world, it's not out of the ordinary for crews to spend extended periods aboard their vessels. This could be due to operational requirements, shipping schedules, or even certain maritime regulations. For instance, the International Transport Workers Federation stipulates a maximum of 11 months for a seafarer's contract duration. This ensures that sailors aren't away from their families for too long. However, it's not unheard of for seafarers to be on board for over half a year, especially on long-haul routes. In the case of the Dali, it's possible that the crew's extended stay was a result of the ship's operational needs. As a container ship, the Dali would have been involved in the transportation of goods across vast distances. This could easily result in a crew remaining on board for several weeks, if not months, at a time. Another factor to consider is the possibility of quarantine measures. In our current global climate, quarantine periods have become a common occurrence, especially in the shipping industry. With crew members hailing from various parts of the globe, there's the potential for them to carry infectious diseases, which could result in the entire crew being quarantined on the ship to prevent further spread. It's also worth noting that the crew's extended stay might have been influenced by labor practices within the shipping industry. There have been numerous reports of ship crews being stranded on their vessels, often due to disputes between ship owners and charterers. In some cases, these unfortunate seafarers have been stuck at sea for months on end, with little to no support from their employers. In essence, the reasons why the crew of the Dali were on board for 7 weeks could be numerous and varied. It could have been due to the ship's operational requirements, maritime regulations, quarantine measures, or even labor disputes within the shipping industry. The reasons behind the crew's extended stay are complex and multifaceted, adding another layer to this maritime mystery. Among the many factors being investigated, dirty fuel stands out as a potential game changer. This is not a phrase to be taken lightly. In the maritime world, dirty fuel is more than just a nuisance. It's a ticking time bomb, capable of causing catastrophic engine failures and power outages on ships. But what exactly is dirty fuel? Well, it's fuel contaminated with impurities such as water, rust, sand, and other particulates. These impurities can clog fuel filters, injectors, and lines, leading to severe engine performance issues. In the worst-case scenario, it can cause a complete engine shutdown, a nightmare for any vessel at sea, let alone a massive container ship like the Dali. The Dali's catastrophic collision with the Baltimore Bridge was preceded by a loss of propulsion. This has led investigators to consider dirty fuel as a possible culprit. If the fuel used by the Dali was indeed contaminated, it could have caused the ship's engine to fail, leaving the vessel powerless and adrift. And in the tragic case of the Dali, on a collision course with the Francis Scott Key Bridge. But dirty fuel isn't just a problem for the Dali. It's a prevalent issue in the maritime sector. Ships often bunkered with dirty fuel, sometimes unknowingly in ports around the world. This is a problem that has been swept under the rug for far too long. If dirty fuel was indeed a factor in the Dali's collision, it raises further questions about the ship's maintenance record and the crew's role in it. Did the crew know they were using contaminated fuel? Were they following proper fuel management practices? And if not, why? These questions are not just about assigning blame. They're about understanding what went wrong and how similar incidents can be prevented in the future. Because at the end of the day, the goal is to ensure the safety and well-being of those who navigate our seas and the communities that rely on them. As we piece together the puzzle, some conclusions begin to emerge. This catastrophic event was not simply a case of bad luck or unfortunate timing. It was a complex web of factors, woven together by years of decisions, actions, and perhaps even negligence. The crew's extended stay on the ship, for instance, raises questions about the conditions they were working under. It also prompts us to consider the potential role of fatigue in this collision. 7 weeks is a lengthy period to be aboard a ship without a break. Could this have affected their alertness or their ability to respond swiftly to the loss of propulsion? The ship's history is also enlightening. The Dali's previous collision in Antwerp, Belgium in 2016, attributed to a mistake by the master and pilot, shows that this isn't the first time the vessel has been involved in an incident. Additionally, the change of ownership post-2016 and the chartering by Maersk at the time of the Baltimore crash add further layers of complexity to the ship's narrative. Then there's the issue of the dirty fuel. The possibility that contaminated fuel led to engine issues and a subsequent power loss is a stark reminder of the ongoing challenges faced by the maritime industry. The role of such fuels in this incident, if confirmed, could have significant implications for ship maintenance, fuel sourcing, and maritime regulations. Finally, we can't ignore the financial repercussions. With potential insurance claims reaching up to $3 billion, this incident could usher in one of the largest claims in the marine insurance market. The economic losses from the port closure in Baltimore, estimated at $15 million daily, also underscore the far-reaching impact of such events. While the full truth behind the crew's 7-week stay on the ship is yet to be uncovered, this incident serves as a stern reminder of the complex challenges and high stakes in the world of maritime operations.